hearing on next year's budget. As you know, there are two budgets, the Board of Education budget and what we refer to as the city budget, which includes everything other than the Board of Education. So we will have the public hearing, which is an open forum for all of you. We'll operate the same way we always have. I'm Josh Short, I'm the president of the Board of Aldermen, flanked to the left and right by the Board of Aldermen members. At the far end, we have our town clerk, Beth Lynch. And like I said, it's going to be an open forum for you guys to speak to us. Before we start, I'd like to turn it over to our budget director, Kurt Miller, and Corporation Counsel, John Reilly on the right side here, on my right side, stage left, and they're going to give you a short recap as to where we're at, why we're here, and where things sort of stand at this point, and then we'll open it up for the public forum. I do have a list here. We pulled the list, and I think there's a fresh list up there at the left of the stage. So if you did sign up, you're guaranteed to speak.
On behalf of the Board of Aldermen and the Mayor's Office, welcome to the Board of Aldermen's public hearing, and thank you so much for coming out on this rainy night to be part of Ansonia's budget process. We're going to have a brief presentation, which really you can consider an orientation where we are in the process, how we got here, and what the options are in front of us tonight. Because of course, this is a transparent process driven by you, the residents, in terms of where this budget will be going. So I'm going to try to keep the comments short. The public session, of course, will be your opportunity to not only make comments, but also to propose questions about anything that you hear during this presentation, questions about anything else that's been on your mind or that you've heard or thought about this budget. Can you see the next slide up there? Just to make sure it's working okay? Okay, so where we are right now. So the budget that was proposed last month by the Board of Aldermen and sent to referendum, broken into two parts, includes a city-side budget that represents a $568,000 increase in spending on the city side, or 1.8% spending increase. On the school side, $1,948,484. Or a 5.2% increase, right? So that represents the budget increases that initially were proposed last month. What does that actually mean? It broke down to a mill rate increase of 3.1, or expressed in another way, the net taxes to be collected, what that mill rate does to bring in taxes, increases net taxes to be collected by 9%. But that's the reason why we're at this part of the process. So your city worked about over a decade ago to, with your support and your vote, to amend the charter to necessitate a public referendum anytime that net taxes to be collected needed to go up 3% or more based on the expenditures of a city budget. And this is the first time that a referendum has been triggered in the last dozen years. And as you see, net taxes to be collected is at 9%, and that threshold is at 3%, right? That triggers the referendum. So reasons, why are we seeing spending increases at all? Why are they the numbers that you see in front of you? On the city side, it basically boils down to labor contracts, union contracts, and the pensions that go with them. You'll see that number actually there on the city side, 576. Is actually higher than the increase that's being requested. That's because the city actually did try to trim, right, to accommodate some of that big increase that comes from the contracts and from the pensions. On the other side, on the school side, that's coming again from your typical costs of labor contracts and pensions on the Board of Ed side, but it's also very notably this year coming from special education costs, as has been outlined by our Board of Education on multiple platforms. Will be outlined again here tonight. But an increase of special education costs, which covers transportation and many other factors that balloon the cost of education up. It's also a budget that's facing some pretty serious challenges from the state of Connecticut. On the city side, it is a loss of grant revenue and a loss of grand list revenue. And this primarily is coming from a change in the way the state wants us to think about the motor vehicle portion of the taxes. Essentially, they want to make sure that the motor vehicle mill rate is either the same or lower than the property tax mill rate. Because in Ansonia, like in some other communities, right? Many other communities this year are seeing this. If that motor vehicle mill rate was higher and it comes down, it means loss of revenue. Loss of revenue that necessarily is now shifted on directly to property tax owners. And as we've talked about at previous Board of Alderman meetings, it is the state of Connecticut's intention eventually to do away with motor vehicle taxes, shifting that burden entirely onto property owners. On the school side, you're dealing with flatlined ECS funding. What that means is ECS is the Education Cost Sharing Grant. This is essentially the aid that communities get for education to make sure everything's fair and equal. Well, here in Ansonia, that funding has remained stagnant for some time, but the costs keep growing. And as you might imagine, if the state support is stagnant, yet the costs keep growing, a larger and larger gap opens up, right? And that is particularly affecting us this year, where the Board of Ed is seeing really dramatic increases in special education costs. So the big question that has continually come up, well, we understand what's going on, we understand challenges, we understand costs, but why not make this very easy? The WPCA was sold, so use that money and just pay it all off. So we're in a position where there certainly is money in the fund balance. Estimated fund balance for this fiscal year is about $7 million, may actually be more. There's also another $7 million entirely set aside in a contingency to stabilize WPCA, the former WPCA sewer rates. So this money is there. There's money in essentially, you're right, in the rainy day fund. Why don't we just draw from it? But the issue that we're looking at is this strategy has been used. As explained by the Board of Aldermen, this strategy has been used particularly after COVID to help stabilize taxes while still being able to increase investment in services like specifically the Board of Education in the schools. And you see that there's a $5 million sum used in 24, 7 in 25, and already it's estimated that a sum of $5,750,000 would be used this year. And of course, a smart use of the rainy day fund can be used to get by from year to year. The problem, of course, is if you're already using it, then the consequence of increasing it beyond those levels that are estimated to be conservative and safe will essentially bankrupt the city. If it's used more and more, if it was used, for example, to wash out this tax increase, you're not going to have any rainy day fund. You're not going to have any money in that fund balance in future years. So you're at a point where really you should not be using more fund balance because it creates holes in the budget in the future that need to be filled. A useful strategy, especially where taxes are going up and investment in services need to be made, but it's not a strategy that can be used indefinitely or that can be used beyond a level that is safe. So then the question is, we understood what the impact was on the mill rate, right? So the budget that was proposed, we said it increased the mill rate by 3.1 mils. What does that mean? We had a 26.49 mill rate. That's the mill rate we have right now. That proposed budget would bring it up to 29.62 mils. To put that into perspective, 29.62 mils ends up actually still being lower than a lot of communities. Even at that worst case scenario, right? It's lower than Derby, Naugatuck, Hampton, Beacon Falls, West Haven, Woodbridge, New Haven, and Bridgeport. There are, of course, cities that have a bit of a lower mill rate. Seymour is just about equal to us. It's just a little lower. It was just approved by the residents in their referendum. Milford, a little lower than ours. Actually, the one at the end, Seymour, should be Shelton, right? Shelton has dramatically lower mill rate. 19.18, so there's a typo there, but that's Shelton. Obviously, when you're talking about what makes the difference, it's about the grand list, it's about businesses, it's also about how what your residential base consists of, right? Larger homes that are generating more tax dollars. So It's interesting to note the situation in perspective where Ansonia is, or would be, with that 29.62 mill rate, lower than a lot of comparable communities. However, we don't have to worry about that so much because that budget was rejected overwhelmingly by the voters. So 975 voters said that the city budget was too high, to 129 that said yes to approve it. And the school budget, 785 voters said no, versus 317 that voted to approve it. So that budget went out, went to referendum per the charter, and was soundly defeated and rejected. So of course, where do we go now? The Board of Aldermen and the Mayor's office has heard you loud and clear. There is a demand for tax relief, a demand to make sure this mill rate, this tax increase, is as low as humanly possible. Of course, the question is how to do this without adversely affecting services, without adversely affecting the services in particular that you, the residents, rely upon, and also prioritizing services. And the mayor has already made a statement on behalf of his office that he wants to make sure that these cuts can be made so long as they do not adversely affect the critical services that residents depend on for safety, and so long as those cuts do not impact quality of education and the welfare of our children. So where to cut? On the city side, again, you have about $500,000. That is the increase. So that's where you're looking to make the cuts. What's going to happen is tonight, after your comments, the Board of Aldermen, they're the ones here, right, that are tasked as the elected officials to make the decision. They'll be relying on Mr. Miller from a financial perspective as to where cuts can be made, what kind of cuts can be made, and what that will do to cut down this $526,000 spending increase. And you're going to see things like anticipated vacancies, perhaps not filling positions that are already anticipated to be vacant. Department hours, perhaps cutting department hours to achieve savings. Cutting programs, perhaps cutting programs out that have a cost that can pull this number down. And of course, layoffs, which are of course the most extreme action that I think any organization can take to save and to cut down a revenue or an expenditure number. Because of course, as you know, as we went over with this presentation, most of this increase, more than this increase actually, is made up over contractual labor increases and related pensions. On the school side, where you're going to see materials, programs, security, aides, staff, and again, your worst case scenario, teachers. You have a school side of $1,984,000 to be cut down. That's a 5.2 increase. And again, Aldermen must propose those cuts tonight, and then the next vote on that new version of the budget will be Friday, May 9th. That's this Friday, back at the Ansonia Armory. So with that, Mr. Miller, do you have anything to add to that? Okay. So I'm going to hand it back over to President Stewart.
Okay, so at this point, I'd like to officially open up the public hearing. And before we do, like I said, I have a list here of about 20 people who pre-signed up earlier, and so we'll guarantee those people will go. I'll read those names. I would like to establish some ground rules to make sure this is not total chaos. And these are the same rules that we use in all of our public hearings to sort of maintain order and make sure everyone knows what to expect. So the first one, anyone can speak publicly to address the Board of Aldermen, all of us up here. For the public hearing, we do expect you to stick to the topic. So in this case, it is about the budget. We have public meetings all the time. We have a monthly meeting. Other boards meet as well. So if there's topics outside of the impending budget, please visit the appropriate meeting or come to our monthly meeting and speak about those. You can speak on any topic then, but we would expect you to speak about the budget tonight. Second one, be thoughtful about what you're saying. And I say that because we have a limit of one time at the microphone per person. So if you're the kind of person who hears what other people are saying and then you decide, well, I really want to talk about what they were saying too, then I would ask that you wait until the end and hear everyone else, and then come up later on and speak your piece. Because we have such a large number of people, we have to strictly enforce a 3-minute per person or less, because we do have a lot of stuff, a lot of people to talk, and we also will have a meeting afterwards. We do want to hear from you. As always, this is not a question and answer session. You can ask questions, you can make statements, and if you ask those questions, we do get you those answers. It may not be right on the spot. We may not have something that you specifically want, or we may address that in the meeting immediately following this. Please provide your name and address for public record or potential follow-up. Most of you wrote your addresses on here. You've already signed up if you're new to the room. When you do come up, please identify yourself so we know where you are. And the last thing I just say, please be kind. We are all residents here, all of us up here, also live in town, and we're trying to do our best. And so at this point, I'd like to open up the public hearing. We'll just start with the top of the list, and this must be a rigged one because it starts with Dr. DeVaca. There's a microphone up there on the left that's always on, and we're going to enforce 3 minutes from you too.
Absolutely. I live at this school, so I was able to write my name first. So, good evening, President Short, members of the Board of Aldermen, of course, community members. I stand before you tonight not as just a superintendent of Ansonia Public Schools, but as someone who spent the past 8 years dedicated to the children and families of the city. When I first arrived in Ansonia in August of 2017 as your assistant superintendent, I witnessed a very different relationship between the Board of Ed and the city. To be honest, it wasn't great. And during that time, our schools endured 3 consecutive years of flat funding. And what I learned from that whole process is, when mommy and daddy fight, the only people that suffer are the kids. And I promised myself that I would work with the city to ensure that we don't revisit the past. Although we move forward, it's important to understand the impact of that history. While surrounding districts were receiving annual increases of 3%, Ansonia remained flat. To put that in educational terms, since we are in school, if a student gets 3 zeros in one semester, it becomes incredibly difficult to earn a passing grade. And that's exactly what happened to us. As a result, we were forced to make difficult decisions. Staff were cut, class sizes ballooned, classrooms with over 30 students was not uncommon. With no middle school sports, no career pathway programs, limited after-school offerings for elementary school students, no security staff. Our curriculum, it was free and outdated, scrapped together from online resources. Additionally, we experienced 25% turnover of our staff to neighboring districts to get paid $10,000 or greater. But that's not where our story ends. Over time, and thanks to collaboration with the city and support from our community, we began to rebuild. We invested in retaining our staff. We developed career pathway programs working with Griffin and Sikorsky. We introduced dual credit courses to save your families real money when it comes to college. We reinstated middle school sports, expanded after-school offerings. We added security staff to protect our children and staff. And because we became very fiscally responsible, we created a non-lapsing account, which you all may remember, which allowed us to purchase updated literacy and math curriculum. We've made progress, lots of progress, in a very short amount of time. And we did this together, the community, the city, and the board. But let me be clear, if we stop now, or if we stay still, we will go backward, and our students will feel it first. Tonight I'm here to inform you and the community that the Board of Ed, we propose some cuts. And maybe if Mr. Bashara speaks, he loves talking about numbers, and I'm sure he'll share them with you. But what I can tell you is this, our schools are at a critical point. The gains we have made are fragile. Continued investment in our district is not about education, it's about our community, our workforce, and our future. And so many kids. I implore you in the community, let's stay on the path of success. Let's keep moving forward for our students, our family, and mostly for Ansonia. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go right off the order of this sheet. If for some speak, that's fine, just don't come up, and we'll go to the next name. The next on the list, Henry Lambert.
Good evening, President Stewart, Board of Aldermen, and community members, of course. My name is Henry Lambert. I live on 20 Co Lane, and I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I stand here today as a student, a freshman, a class president, and someone who has been directly impacted by the resources, programs, and opportunities our school provides. But as the community and you are aware, there's a real threat that these very things can be taken away from us. Citizens argue that cutting funding is necessary to prevent raising taxes, but I believe we need to ask ourselves, at what cost? Cutting funding in regards to integral pieces of our school doesn't just reduce business for classes, it limits our potential. It chips away at the very foundation of what allows us to excel, to grow, and to prepare for the future while also overburdening teachers with now excessively large classes. Opportunities like AP classes, the pathway programs, extracurriculars, and even basic support services are not luxuries. They are essential investments in our future, and when we strip them away, we undermine the opportunities for every student who steps through these doors to both join our high school and leave to embrace the world. Some of you have walked into our school and seen the banner that reads, CPEC, Charge to Promote Positive Change. That motto isn't just a phrase, it's a promise that every student's education matters, that every student can grow, lead, and give back. But how can we prompt positive change if the tools, the opportunities, and our chance for a higher success is taken away from us? I understand that taxes are a concern. No one wants to feel that burden as inflation rises in our economy, but truly think for a moment about long-term impact. What happens when we sacrifice the quality of education today for the sake of dollars saved tomorrow? We've risked making a community that is less prepared, less competitive, and ultimately less able to contribute to our world and society. We should instead ensure together, students, parents, and more, that our school continues to thrive. Education is not a cost, it's an investment. And the return on your investment is our success and future. Leaders, thinkers, nurses, engineers, lawyers, and citizens. When you invest in us and our education, you invest in a brighter, stronger, more resilient Ansonia. So I ask you to consider not just the immediate financial implications, but the long-term consequences. Let's make sure our school remains a place where every student can thrive, not a place where the lack of opportunity is something that depends on a dollar lost. Once again, thank you for your time, and may you all have a great rest of your night.
Henry, I'm a college professor. You speak better than most of my students. Next up, Ronaldo Alvarez.
Good evening. My name is Ronaldo Alvarez. I'm 315 Lakely Avenue. Let me begin with saying that the programs and services on the chopping block in the Ansonia public school budget, they're not luxuries, they're necessities. These are the tools we give our young people to build their future and ours. They are the investments that make the promise of public education real. Not just saying it, but by doing it. When we talk about cutting internships, dual enrollment classes, and pathway programs, we're not simply trimming the fat. We are telling students who dream of becoming engineers, nurses, teachers, that their ambitions can wait, that they'll have to make do. But ambition doesn't wait, and opportunity shouldn't either. Intervention programs in reading, math, and special education. These are lifelines for students who are already working twice as hard just to keep up. When those supports disappear, we don't just lose numbers on a spreadsheet, we lose potential. Quiet, stubborn, remarkable potential. Now, I'm a musician myself, and I know firsthand what the arts do for a student. I know what it means to walk into a band room after a long day and find a place where your voice matters, where your sound counts. If the supply cuts go through, music in our school won't be a program anymore. It'll be a memory. The band that played on Friday nights, the classroom where kids learn harmony, patience, discipline, dismantled. Not because it didn't matter, but because someone said it mattered a little less. We talk about ESL, about safety and overcrowded classrooms, and it's easy to lose sight of the human cost behind those terms. We're not just talking about fewer teachers, we're talking about students sitting in classrooms too full to be seen, too stretched to be supported, too ignored to believe someone still believes in them. And this is just the first cut. $188,000. What comes next? So I urge you, think not in terms of line items, but in terms of lives. These programs don't just prepare our students for the world, they give them a reason to believe they belong in it. And that's a belief no budget should take away. Thank you.
Thank you. This is where the handwriting gets dicey. So if I mess you up, Tyler Severino.
President Short, Board of Development, and community members. My name is Tyler Severino. I live on 160 Wall Street. I am a senior at AHS, and I am also the leader of the engineering pathway. I want to tell you just how detrimental this budget change will be to our school. I gathered some statistics for this too. So, 60% of students in Ansonia are economically disadvantaged, meaning most of us rely on our school to give us the materials we need for our classes. Unfortunately, the proposed $25,000 reduced for basic student materials throws us out of the window. Without the essentials of paper, notebooks, and pencils, students are set up for failure before they can even have a chance to try to succeed. We also have proposed an $81,000 cut from the AP Math and Science classes. As a student who's benefited from many AP classes, I can tell you that they are vital to us. Not only do they challenge us, but they also help us earn college credits and save money on tuition before we even step on college campus. 34% of students in Ansonia take AP classes, and these cuts hinder them significantly. And to go along with that, I've also worked for the school as an IT intern over the summer, and I can tell you, helping prepare laptops for the next school year, seeing the lack of resources the IT department has in general is also just disappointing, and we really need more for it. They're the ones who provide us with the technology we need to do our work and succeed, so we can't get rid of it. These cuts aren't getting rid of any luxuries. They're getting rid of the essentials and basic needs we have at our school and for our students. We cannot afford to lose them. Now I'd like to pass it on to Diego.
Good evening, President Schwartz, members of the Ansonia Board of Aldermen, and community members. My name is Igor Rodriguez, and I live at 12 Kennedy Lane. I'm a student in the engineering pathway at Ansonia High School, and tonight I'm speaking for every student who could lose their chance to build a future because of something as preventable as a budget cut. In our engineering pathway, we're learning skills that go far beyond our classroom. Designing, building, innovating. These are not just classes, they're direct pipelines going into careers. We have students right now involved in Sikorsky internships about to get hands-on experience in the aerospace industry. That type of opportunity changes lives, but it only exists if we continue to fund the programs that support it. Even when we try to show up and compete, we're falling short on support. Last year, students representing our school in the Sikorsky STEM Challenge didn't even have a bus to get there. They had to drive themselves to the University of New Haven. Some couldn't even go. There are students ready to represent our school and community in high-level competition, and we couldn't even get them there. That's what a budget cut looks like in real time. It's a missed opportunity with a price you can't always measure. Many of us are in a difficult spot. We don't want to waste time taking a gap year, but we also can't afford the rising cost of college. These programs, engineering, PCT, dual enrollment, are how we take real steps forward now. Cut them and we don't lose classes, we lose futures. And let me be clear, this is only a fraction of the problems we'll face if this budget gets cut. Fewer AP classes, lost internships, overcrowded rooms, no after-school programs, students forced to rethink their career paths entirely because we took away the tools they need to succeed. And this isn't about dollars, this is about direction. And I'm asking you to help us keep ours. Thank you.
Joseph Brancata.
Hi, my name is Joseph Brancata. I live on 35 Buzzwell Street. I've been living in Ansonia for 40 years. raised 2 children here. I ended up taking my kids out of public school and putting them in private. And they had a hard time to get used to private school, where it's much more advanced. I don't think that throwing more money at education or anything else in this town is going to help anything. If people want to do it, they can do it. I went to school where I had to walk to school at least a mile each way. Through rain or snow, there was no snow days. Only the kids that rode the bus. We didn't have calculators, we didn't have computers, we had none of that. We all learned. They built the SR-71 Blackbird in them years. People were able to do things. Now, today, it's all about entitlement. I need, me. I went to talk to the mayor and made a couple suggestions to him. Nobody listens to the people here. You have people living in this town that are registered, their cars are registered in Massachusetts, Vermont, highly in New York. Their cars are parked in front of apartment buildings and houses. I'm paying for 40 years taxes on every vehicle I have. And these people come here and pay nothing. It's time to get them people to pay up. Another thing is the city is losing businesses. Big Y moved out, ShopRite, I'm sorry, Stop and Shop. A lot of businesses moved out. Why? There's not enough business to supply the money that it takes to pay for their taxes. You need to think about finding ways to bring revenue in, not spend more money. You can't drive down the street no more. People don't stop for stop signs. They don't stop for red lights. You're lucky if they slow down at all. They go through the red lights on the school buses. I see it all the time. Why doesn't the police go after these people and double the damn fines for these people? That'll bring in some revenue, I believe. They need to get more businesses to come in this area. And that's all I have to say. If things don't get better, I'm leaving this area. Maybe to stay.
Thank you. Next, Joseph Lascari. Sorry, Joe, we're gonna go to break now. We can't. It's an old joke.
Very funny. Good evening, Board of Aldermen and fellow residents of Ansonia. I am Joe Lascari. I live on Nancy Road. First of all, I want to say I'm very impressed with the young people that spoke today. They make very good points. And I don't think we're here to torture the school system or take away their needs, their wants, their desires. We're not going to do that. What we have to do as a city, I think, is to begin to find ways of saving money rather than just cutting. And one thing that I don't know has gone very far is the synergy with surrounding cities, towns. Special ed, for example, in my opinion, could be synergized with the city of Derby, and we could probably cut a lot of extra expense that each town has to invest by combining the effort and not taking anything away. So synergy should be considered. We need to get more communication on that. I think the freezing of hiring was mentioned as one thing, and there are positions that maybe could be frozen and not added in the next fiscal year. Gotta figure a way of getting around that. It's not easy. far as raises, I saw that we have contractual and pension requirements to increase various payments throughout the year. If they're not contractual, we should consider biting the bullet and maybe cutting a raise of somebody who's making $100,000 or $150,000. Let them make a sacrifice so the city can get back on its financial footing. I have been in the city for 45 years. We raised 3 children, my wife and I. 2 attended Ansonia schools all the way through. 1 daughter went to Platt. I don't have kids in school now, so it's kind of rough for me to sit down and look at my tax bill as a retired senior citizen and say, we don't have any more money coming in, but we have to expend so much. So let's make it maybe a consideration for senior citizens who are beyond the threshold of where we could get a tax break. All right? Because we don't have kids in school, but we do care for these young people. And that's pretty much all I have. Thank you very much.
Bob Blackwell? Excuse me? Pass? Okay. Jalen Garrido.
Good evening, President Stewart, members of the Ansonia Board of Aldermen, and community members. Mr. Stewart, I live one house down from you. I can see you every day and talk to you about this, but I don't. I live at 109 Fiddle Avenue, and when it comes to these budget cuts and our students, it's absolutely appalling that anything would be even considered of kind. This school is already at its wit's end with barely any funding. You can see the stage that you are sitting on right now is scratched up, it's covered in tape. Our walls here have holes in them, half of the stuff doesn't even work, and our speakers don't even work. We have speakers right upstage that you are using to speak to us instead of the ones that are at the school. Our school is already falling apart at the seams, and our students are barely passing as it is. I've been a part of AP programs, I've been a part of college programs, I've been a part of Sikorsky STEM, I've been a part of more than that can be said. I've been a part of sports programs. I've done mostly everything I can to give myself an opportunity at this school. And I will continue to keep doing that until I graduate. When it comes to AP programs, I never thought I would get into a college. Maybe I was selling myself short. But those AP programs, I was able to push myself through, and I was able to be proud of when I passed them and put them on my college application. Doing college classes in general, I was able to be proud of myself for being able to get into them and being able to put those on my college application, to be able to show the work that I put in to be a student at this school, even with the opportunities that I have been given and presented, and the opportunities I have not been given or presented. When it comes to this school, half of the opportunities that we have are already barely there. I was a part of the criminal justice pathway, and that pathway has since been canceled. They allowed us seniors to finish out this year as the last class to take that criminal justice pathway. We now no longer have the classes for the up and coming students for that. When it comes to education at this school, the more we cut, the less we learn. And the less we learn, the less we're willing to put ourselves out there. And the less we're willing to put ourselves out there, the less people that you have willing to become smart enough to present themselves in front of you and provide for this community in a way that will actually help. When it comes to cutting, you're cutting materials, program security, aides and staff, and teachers. And that's not even the half of it. I have a list of 19 potential things that will be cut from this school, depending on if this gets passed or not. Including security, including math and science textbooks, literacy, including enrollment and AP classes, all of which I have been involved in. And when it comes to students needing these resources. If we don't get these resources, you don't get smarter students. If you don't get smarter students, you don't get people pushing themselves. And if you don't get smarter students coming out of the school, you get less people putting their kids in this school to come and learn. You get less people coming here. And I was a student that came from private school to Ansonia. I moved out of Bridgeport to get out of that life. And I went to private school in Bridgeport. Once I got to Ansonia, I had never felt like I had more of an opportunity than when I got here. And I grew up in the elementary school. I served both between Meade and Prendergast, and I had both equal opportunities at both those places. When I got to middle school, I ended up going to school in New Haven because this was the start of the problem when it came to budgets and how students were acting and treated in schools. And these students had no opportunities, in my parents' opinion, that they sent me to a school 30 minutes away from our town just to get a good education. And you know what happened? I came back. I came back after COVID to Ansonia for my 8th grade year, and I finished out here. And I noticed how much funding absolutely disappeared after COVID. The music department didn't exist. We didn't have any middle school programs. We had nothing to do after school. We had no chance to present ourselves in any way or express ourselves in any form. And then I got to high school. And this school barely has any funding as it is, but when I hit high school as a freshman, I felt I could do so much more. And as the years have gone on, from my freshman year to senior year, I realized that as they went on, this year, my senior year, this has been the best year of my life. We had kids go to South Korea. We had a play, the first play in drama club in at least 20 or so years. We had kids traveling. We went to Sikorsky with a bus somehow. We did something for ourselves. We were able to express ourselves. We had our club fair, and there were over 30 clubs ran by students. I ran like half of the clubs that were in that fair and in this school because I wanted to give freshmen an opportunity. I wanted to see freshmen thrive and be able to express themselves. And next year we're not going to be able to do that? Like, we need this funding. You are not going to have kids that have this same drive or passion if this goes away. Because if you don't give children a chance, how are those children going to take the chance that wasn't given to them and show that they deserve it? You have to give a little in order to take a little. You have to have children present that they want this if you want to be able to give it to them more. And when it comes to special ed, my sister grew up in special ed in Prendergast schools. My sister had an aide, and that woman was named Miss Annette. She has since moved out of Ansonia, but for everybody who knew her, she was the nicest and most amazing woman, because if she did not teach my sister what she needed to teach her, my sister would not be able to be in the school as a freshman right now. And I am appalled that if my sister were to grow up in this district, that special education is cut. Because it takes so long to grow up in that system and have to push through that system and then get here just to be shown that you can't get that help anymore because nobody's willing to pay for it. Nobody's willing to pay for you to help you be seen as a human being that wants a job, that wants schooling, that wants education, that wants friends, that wants teachers. It is appalling that anybody would want to take any of this away from us. And if you want students that are going to present themselves as good people, you want students to go out and instead of doing something crazy, they're going to study with their friends, go out with their friends, be a person and a good human being, you have to give these kids a chance. I know how it feels to not be given a chance. I know how it feels to not be presented as a person and miss out on that opportunity. And all I am asking is that if you are going to do this, please rethink it, because these students deserve something in their lives. The same way I deserve something and I was able to get into college, these students deserve something. My sister deserves something, and everybody behind me that's about to speak, that's a student, that's a parent, that's a teacher, that's somebody who went through the system, deserves something more from what these schools are giving us. We shouldn't be going back into a recession. We should be continuing forward, because that is how the future works. It's called the future for a reason, not the past. And we deserve to keep moving forward, not as students, not as family, but as a community. Because if we do not work as a community, we will never be together as a community. Thank you for listening.
Kyle Disley.
Good evening, President Stewart, members of the board, members of the community. I know some of my fellow students might really want to come up here to speak about things, but seeing that special education was something on the chopping block, I just couldn't let that stand. Growing up in schools, I spent half of my earlier years in Agawam, Massachusetts, and later in 6th grade I came here to Connecticut. And I can say completely objectively that the special education program here is without a doubt far superior than anything I've ever seen. I went from padded rooms and threats to counselors and actual help. And to see that that help is now threatened by the notion of cutting just to cut. We already seen that our taxes and our mill rates are far lower than any other city, not any other city, but many cities around us, and only a little bit higher than a few. I find it redundant that we need to cut just for the sake of cutting. Investing in these students' educations and your grandchildren and your children and their educations, investing in those educations will bring things back to Ansonia. It's a part of Ansonia Recharge. And to say that we need to push for more tax cuts, I find that self-destructive. There are things we can do for the city that does not come from just pushing for more tax cuts. You gotta spend money to get a little more money in the city. I say that many people know the saying that free blood, sweat, tears, and especially money. And the freedom for our kids to be educated, it's gonna take money. It's one of the highest things that cost in this city. And to say that just to push for tax cuts just because, no, I can't say. But there were several programs, and I may not even graduate without that special education program. And the criminal justice pathway that some people have talked about, I was in that, and that's why I'm even going to college at this point.
Oh, it's not waiting, it's on the sheet,
No, 124 Myrtle Avenue. Sorry. But the special education program is the reason why I feel I even graduated in the first place. The help I was able to get is paramount for a lot of the kids. And I've heard that next year we're getting 50 plus kids that may be entering special education. And the notion to and for special ed teachers, and the notion to cut this program, it's going to be very impactful on the environment in the school. When it comes to the quality of the education, when you cut teachers and pack more kids in the classrooms, it puts more stress on these teachers and it lowers the quality of education that they can grind out from the school. And I feel like that's something I can't stand for. Thank you.
Ralph Giamatti.
I can't really hear with that microphone. Can you people hear me in the back?
Oh, yeah.
I came here 49 years ago.
Excuse me, what are you doing here?
I bought a house 3 months before I got married.
Excuse me, can we get some help over here?
What?
You don't just come up
You
here.
got feedback and that one I can't even
Then
hear.
sit right here. Have a seat in the front, don't sit in the back.
Well, I'll just talk. Number one.
Are you Ralph?
Number one.
Are you Ralph?
What?
Are you Ralph?
What is your name?
Ralph Jr.
There's a microphone over there. Though.
I couldn't even hear you. We had classes in civics and U.S. history, so I hope you guys got great. But here's the deal. You don't have any skin in the game. You guys don't pay taxes on the house, okay? It's real nice that you love the teachers. I loved a lot of mine, all right? You're talking to a guy that never got on a school bus. We walked in the pavement. I don't know how many of you guys have. We came home for lunch between kindergarten and 6th grade. When I was in Cross High School, it was 1.25 miles to school, and we walked it. before we start throwing money at problems. Where are we right now? Where are we right now, percentage-wise? In reading and math, based on all the rest of the schools.
Ralph, we are in favor of the budget.
No, I
We want to take care of that. They're reaching to us like we want to come to you. We are not running anything. You got to put all these.
I want to know.
Don't rush to us.
Right.
They're the ones who are.
Ralph, this is why we have rules. I understand your passion. Listen, we put the budget out already. It was voted down. That's why we're here tonight.
Voted it down, but I want to know, you guys want this money that you need for the school, salary and whatever.
They need
I went
it.
to school, there was 30 kids in the class, and guess what? We all learned.
They need it. We want to take care of it.
Math since 66.
Don't reach to us.
20 years
We
ago.
want to make sure you get a good education. You got all this.
I got my.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, Ralph. We can hear you.
In other words, right now,
Thank you.
I feel like I'm in Orange, because like Orange, you don't have a grocery store. And we got empty buildings that nobody's paying taxes on. And in about 10 to 20 more years, we're not going to be able to afford pensions for the people working for the city, because the state's having a hard time paying their bills. And right now, what you got to worry about is, this is a sanctuary state, and you guys don't know how much cuts you get from federal funds to start with. All right? All right?
We are already getting taxes from those
Years
empty
ago,
buildings.
Ansonia were combined into one school, L-double-L. You know what the problem is? They couldn't decide on what color the football team was going to wear, or who was going to coach the football.
Thank you. Ralph. Ralph, you're in time. Thank you. Your time is up. We appreciate it. We hear you. Thank you.
But you're gonna have to lay off people. Grow, like we say in Italian, grow some coyotes.
Thank you. Eileen Krugel.
Good evening. I don't know if this is even. Speak louder? Okay. I have a lot of notes here that I've been taking, so I don't know. First thing I want to ask is, will we be seeing these revisions from your next meeting before the vote on Friday? Okay. That was a head nod yes on the text. Okay. Next thing, and I appreciate John's explanation on everything going on, but apparently the mayor's office, and I don't know if he's here tonight, I guess not. Apparently the mayor's office didn't hear your budget plan loud enough. He posted yesterday on Facebook under the Valley Indian, I voted no. I'll continue to vote no. I told you I'm against raising any taxes. That's David Cassetti. So just be aware of that. I'm sure you all saw that. And to the students, you did a great job. You really did. I'm a fixed income. I would give you everything you want, but you can't bleed a stone. I don't have more money to give you. And that's it. Thank you.
Jose Rodriguez?
Good evening, President Stewart, Board of Education, and the people. I'm Jose Rodriguez. I live on 120 George Street. I just came to talk about, basically, prior to my point, I just want to talk about myself for a bit. Like everyone else, I'm pretty similar, nothing really special. I was born in Harlem and raised in Yonkers, New York for the majority of my life. Basically, how I was raised there, it was pretty bad. No, not decent situation, enough to get by. Basically, the goal of my life was get to high school, hope for the best. You know, just see what happens. Wouldn't turn out well, but you'll still be alive. Right? Then my mom made a great decision to move out here to change me and my family's life for the better. It wasn't good at first, but slowly by slowly it started getting better. When I came here, it was like mid-7th grade, 8th grade. When I got there, I realized I was a student able enough to be in the somewhat what you call advanced course, the honors courses. Thankfully, I was put there. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I didn't know that was cool. That was helpful for myself. So after I did all that, I went through high school and I realized there's something more I can do here. I didn't realize it was just get through high school and then I have an option to go to college, but that was still hard, so I didn't really think much of it. But I realized there was sub ideas, like become a mechanic or a manufacturer. I didn't have to go to college, but if I did the right thing in high school, I'll be set for a piece of my life, and that was great. And I had a passion since I was a kid. I had severe asthma, so I could never run really, and we're also the kids at recess made me jealous. It got to the point where I wanted to become one of the best runners in the world, being in the Olympics. So I kind of lately, I trained my body, and thankfully my sickness of asthma, it died very bit, and I was able to run. So I had a dream to go on the track team and make it to the Olympics. And so I trained my entire life as much as I could, to the point where the hopes to join the track team. I found out freshman year there was no track team, but this year as a sophomore, I found out there was a track team. So I was kind of bummed out, but that did for me, made a huge change impact in my life. Because the very fact that to go to college, I don't just want to do this as in high school, I want to pursue it because it's my dream. So I decided I need to do a couple things. First, I need a fallback. I can't just go into this blindly, I needed something to lie back on. So I decided to talk to my counselor and change my entire thing of instead of becoming a manufacturer, I decided to go into the engineering course, which I'm currently enrolling in. I plan to be the next coder for this coursing project, which Tyler currently is. That's my goal next year, designer. So I decided to take those courses and go to college. But I realized I would need to put myself in a position to be able to afford it. So I plan to put myself in all the AP classes and pursue my life in track. This is not much of a brag, but I'm currently 11th in the state right now in terms of points media. And this is my dream. So I plan to use that, a way of engineering, manufacture as a side job in college, become an engineer, take a 4-year course. So within that 4-year course, I can do track in college and aim my best to get enough scholarship money from being a band member, being an engineer, doing manufacturing internship, doing a side job, and getting enough money from a scholarship for track to pursue and go to that college. And in order to do all those things, we need the funding for my classes. We need the funding for all sports in order to do all this. I'm not just the only one here. Many of us have a dream, not even just sports. Since we've been thinking, some of us have been thinking of this since we were little kids, dreaming to become something, and that's all we wanted. Some people want to become a great baseball player. Some people like me want to go to the Olympics. Some people just wanted to do something good with themselves, become a high-level person, free off, so they don't have to struggle in life, just make something of themselves. Me, I want to do both. I want to be one of the best out there, and I'm putting myself in the best position. I will work my butt off. I work with 2 jobs currently just to get a hand-on experience. I'm like, if I can do anything just to make me better off to know how to do it in terms of experience, put myself in the best classes, know how to go about it, and I push my body to that absolute limit because that's what I do in order to achieve my dream. And I'm saying all this because I'm not the only one here who has a similar life. Many of us, almost all of us, have a similar passion. And not even all of us had it since a kid. Thanks to being in high school and all of us having all these opportunities to do this kind of sport, to try it out, or try out this kind of artwork, this music, this instrument, to go into this technical thing, or decide to learn about biology or science thing. If we have all these opportunities, we're able to realize what we love and what our true passion is. And we can chase that and become something of ourselves through doing all this. And also, if we're talking about a budget,
Let's try to wrap it up though. Sorry, to speak as well. But
yeah, there's the final thing. If we're talking about a budget for track, especially, a meet will cost like $200 to $500. And we have a small track team. It's like a $10 to $30 fee per person. Ours isn't really something that will put a dent in the budget. That's all I have to say. Representing my track team.
Thank you. Are you on the list as well? Did you sign up before or not? You did? What's your name? Yeah, I don't see you on the list unless you're on that list there, maybe? Yeah. Could you just introduce yourselves for for our secretary? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jaden Crenshaw. I live on 6 Boulevard Drive, and I just wanted to talk about for the city budget, special education, since it got mentioned. Growing up in Ansonia for my whole entire life, during Gas, I was actually born with a speech disorder, childhood hypoxia speech, and I was in special education during those times. The teachers were really helped me out overall and everything. And I just wanted to say that cutting the budgets for special education and for all the stuff in school really is affecting the education for all of the future generations, for the upcoming classes, and affecting courses like the AP classes, the pathways, and the dual credits. Without these teachers, I would not be in the position I am right now, especially now since I'm out of special education due to the amount of support and help I got from these teachers. From Miss Mom, who's still in this high school for special education, and Miss Calvert, who has since moved to the middle school, I just wanted to say that there could be different options to use instead of just cutting from schools, because not only is this affecting the teachers and the staff, this is affecting the upcoming freshmen and middle schoolers that are coming to the high school, and we might have to change our whole career programs overall because of this too, and especially for special education too, because not only are we cutting it from them, they're removing their chances overall to coming from school that need special help. And I just wanted to say there's better options to do this, and please don't cut the support for special education and for our high school. We come a very long way, especially from coming from Gas and from being a senior for Ansonia High School. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Joe Campante.
Good evening, everyone, people and voters. I've said this a couple of times in previous meetings, and I've seen a couple other areas where I've posted some stuff. Where we are tonight is, we know where we are. So from our April 25th referendum, which was a mandate, and now we're here, and we're right back where we were on April 25th. Now, how did we get here? 14 years ago, I was on the Board of Enforcement Taxation. We had workshops, meetings. Once we got the mayor's budget, we met at the firehouses, we met at the police department, we met at the Board of Ed, and we met at City Hall. Instead of the administration saying, we're not going to raise any taxes, and we'll continue going on and on, you could have weaned us into a little bit of an increase over the past 10 or 12 years. Instead of where we are now. So from the 25th to today, we kicked the can down the road. So it's becoming a contest as to who can get the can further down the road. Is it going to be the voters? So I thought we were going to come in today's meeting with some type of budget, some type of adjustment that was made prior to this meeting from the referendum. I came in here today not knowing we were having a 9% increase, a 6% increase, a 3% increase. We didn't know. I don't know if anybody else here did, but I did. And I looked, I made some phone calls, and I talked to other people, and nobody said, the budget's not changing. Hasn't changed. So from the 25th, it appears to us that nothing was done. I'm not opposed to increases. Things have to increase. Education has to increase. Some of these kids are going to be up here in 10 years from now, sitting in your chairs. have one other thing that I think many of the people in here would be for. And maybe we can add one more question to this referendum. Why don't we have a forensic audit in this county? And just clear the air as to where everything is. This way, no more finger pointing. I heard that they're saying forensic audit costs between $3,000 and $10,000 a year. I mean, to do, not a year. That's fine. We just spent $615,000 on a settlement. Where did that money come from? When I left the Board of Proportional Taxation 14 years ago, we had between $14 and $16 million in the fund balance. Fund balance isn't a revenue source. It's there if we need something. If a fire truck goes bad, if we do police cruisers, it's there. If we have a sewer breakup like we had in Pershing Drive that cost a couple $1 million, it's there. We've took almost $18 million out of the fund balance to fund the budget. Now what's in the fund balance? Of course, we took money from the WPCA sale and put it in there to make it look like there's more money in there. We took $7 million to raise the organization. So, I mean, again, my main concern is how do we get here? And I think I touched on a couple of bases, but again, you guys can answer this question better than I can. Thank you.
Michael Egan. Michael Egan? Hi. Egan's right.
My name is Michael Egan. I live at 103 Ben Street. I want to thank the Board of Aldermen for having this public hearing tonight in person. Hopefully, future Board of Aldermen meetings will also be open to the public to have face-to-face meetings. As originally was rejected, is in need of much work, hopefully reducing it to the point we won't even have to have a vote this Friday. The school budget really has to be looked at. The transportation cost exceeds actual needs. How often do you see school buses half empty? Do we need the large school buses? Can we use smaller ones? I'm a product of the Ansonia school system. I attended for 12 years. I didn't ride on the bus one time. I lived on the hilltop. We had planning back then. We had schools in the area. Even walking to the high school wasn't that much of a chore. Granted, things are different today. They're different, but why do we need to have bus stops on every corner in front of a lot of houses? Have the parents sign up which kids are going to use the school buses ahead of time, prior to the school year. Alderman, I request of you, be attentive to what the taxpayers have to say. Listen to us. Don't raise our taxes as they're going. We can't afford you. Cardboard on East Main Street. What next? Are we going to be selling the transfer station? Are we going to be selling the nature center? Please, I implore you, represent the taxpayers of Ansonia. Thank you.
Next, it looks like we have a double team, Molly Lynch and Weston Ahern.
Hi, my name is Molly Lynch, and I'm a sophomore at Ansonia High School, and I live on 15 Birchwood Drive. President Short, members of the Ansonia Board of Aldermen, and community members, I would specifically like to address the cut that will happen towards middle school sports if the education budget is not passed. Our middle school program is a feeder program towards our high school program. As most of you know, sports are a very big deal here in the city of Ansonia, and if our middle school sports program is cut, we can see a very big decrease in interest in playing sports in high school. A large percentage of kids at Ansonia High School play sports, and I've seen firsthand how it keeps many students out of trouble and helps them stay track in the classroom. This is why it is important to keep our middle school program alive. No one wants to see a pay-to-play scenario in Ansonia. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, my name is Weston Ahern, and I live on Condon Drive in Ansonia. I am also a student at Ansonia High School. If this budget does not get passed, we will need to revert back to our last year's budget, and to put that in perspective of a student, how that will go, it will be very limiting. We had roughly 580 students last year at Ansonia High School, and now we have roughly 630 students. Things like AP classes, the PCT program, pathway programs, and after-school programs will all be affected, and some will even be eliminated. I am currently a student in a new pathway program, Exercise Science, where we have opportunities to job shadow an athletic trainer and medical director, participate in labs, and to receive a personal trainer certification. Without the budget pathway passing, this pathway can be cut. These are things that make us students stand out to colleges and give us scholarships. Without this budget passing, it will affect every student's future in Ansonia Public Schools. Please consider voting yes to pass the education budget so that students like us can continue to have unlimited educational opportunities. Thank you for your time and have a good night.
Thank you. Marilyn Gonzalez.
Hospital, and I attended the public school system of my life. And we're all part of this community, and when children in Ansonia school system graduate and go off to places like UConn, which, like, by the way, only 30 kids this year at UConn, like myself included, that's like never happened before. And that's something to be proud of, like the community themselves, because you funded that. You funded us going to places like UConn. And no one wants to be known as a city with an underfunded school. Kids who grew up with nothing, grew up to be nothing because their school never gave them an opportunity. I love being part of the criminal justice pathway because that's like an opportunity I got from being in the school. I learned so much in cybercrime, and I generally enjoy reading the textbook, and I want other kids to love that too. Empathy has a cost, and I hope we can take that, especially because like I know, like I really sympathize with the community who like don't have kids in school right now, and so like it doesn't benefit them at all, but it's a reflection of our community and who we have, because we love our football team so much, then why can't we love our school system as well? And I, like especially with the special education, because my sister here, she has syndrome, and she's always in pain, and she cries very young in the morning. My sister here has Noonan syndrome, and she cries all night, and she sometimes doesn't go to sleep till 2 a.m. in the morning, and like having a good quality special education program in our school really helps her, because like when she's not in pain, she loves going to school. And next year there's going to be 55 kids coming in, and we only have 4 special education teachers, and usually special education kids need 1-on-1. So how is 4 teachers supposed to take care of 55 kids? It's, you know, like empathy has a cost, and I know you may not care about the kids, but, you know,
Ann Lynch.
Ann Lynch, 15 Birchwood Drive. Good evening. I truly wish I had a new proposed budget with changes made before this meeting, but since I don't, I stand here and ask the aldermen and women to not decrease the Board of Education budget. We as a community need to support all of our teachers and staff members, and of course, our awesome students. Education is key to creating a better world, and if our students can't count on us to help and support them, then what kind of message are we sending to the children? My son Brendan graduated last year from the high school, and my daughter Molly is currently a sophomore. I couldn't be happier with the education that they have received here at the high school. They have learned in the classroom, on the field, by volunteering at events, and by helping others. The guidance they received from everyone at the high school has been outstanding, and I want this to continue for generations to come. So, do what's right, and don't take away from our kids. They need us. Don't take away from our teachers and staff members throughout this town, because they already give 100% of themselves, and all of them also contribute their own money to their classrooms and their students. They need us too. So now, let's do what's right, and don't decrease the education budget. Go Chargers!
Thank you. Alexandra Figueroa.
Hi, my name is Aliana Figueroa. That's okay. And I live on 246 North State Street. Dear President Stewart and fellow aldermen, I've held the opportunity to be class president in the last 3 years, a member on the Student Pathway Advisory Board, a 4-year member of the Cybersecurity Pathway, a student rep of the Board of Education, a representation of Ansonia High School at the Hugh O'Brien Leadership Program, the Boys and Girls Club Youth of the Year twice, and a state representative. I just accepted the National Business Honor Society, a DECA member, a previous FBLA member, an honorable student, and 12 college credits, saving my family thousands of dollars. A CAPS awardee, which is one of the highest achievements in high school, a varsity softball, basketball, and cheerleader, and a committed student to Rutgers University, New York, to play Division III softball. That is what you will be taking away from me, and I'm not here to ask for your sympathy, and I'm not here to ask for your praise. I'm not here to ask a favor, but I'm simply here to show you what you will be taking away from me, my teammates, my classmates, my teachers, my younger brother's education. So far, the $1 million in our budget cut has been $81,000 in math and science classes for our middle school, elementary, and high school students, roughly $13,000 in middle school literacy learning, $26,000 in arts and science and school supplies, $19,000, $752 in middle school and elementary after-school programs, about $40,000 in security officers, all equaling 10 education 10 years ago. By taking away the little things, you are taking the responsibility of destroying the future of your education in your town. As a proud member of the Board of Education, I've seen the numbers of our school improvement. I've seen the success. I've seen my younger brother who has battled the diagnosis of ADHD and ADD during COVID. I watched his teacher and my mother work together to keep his focus on learning. I've watched the teachers and administrators take advantage of the tools they had to keep him from not passing 6th grade during COVID. I then witnessed middle school teachers leave due to lack of resources and support from the Board of Education. And when I realized that it's not due to the fact of what the Board of Education wanted to do, it's because what they had to do. The programs that each school in Ansonia has draws attention to our town. It's what keeps our students wanting to learn and come to school. But what you are deciding here showing me that as you watch my school thrive, rather than helping, you're hurting. As I stand here today with my fellow students, there's nothing I can say. As a student, how do you decide whether to take away from special needs students or other students? You don't. But I simply ask that you understand the impact you're making, both positive and negative. As a proud Ansonia Charger, I'm respectfully disappointed. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for butchering your name. Your handwriting is terrible. You're a very good speaker, but your handwriting is not so good. Thomas Egan?
Good evening, members of the Board of Aldermen. Thomas Egan, 253 Main Street. To Dr. Tabacco, I appreciate what you said earlier. You do a lot with the resources you have, and you have my thanks for what you do. Thank you. To Class President Henry, Ronaldo, Aliana, I hope I said that right, Molly, Weston, Jalen, Jose, Jaden, Tyler, Diego, you guys are the next future leaders of this country. You have my thanks. You have a lot of courage. My name's Thomas Egan, and I'm here tonight because the residents of Ansonia deserve a budget process grounded in responsibility, transparency, and long-term thinking. Let's be honest. We're not in this situation by accident. We've arrived here because of a profound absence of leadership. The very individual that proposed this budget, our mayor, isn't even here. And for the first time in a long time, I'm proud to see the turnout, all the people, instead of these Zoom meetings, that we're all here in person coming together as a town hall as a city. So have my thanks. But in Ansonia right now, we're suffering from poor planning, and we're having structural failures. And to the individual who said this earlier, these tax increases probably should have leaned us into it. The difference between Ansonia and, say, Shelton or Milford is that there is industry there. There are jobs there, and that is something that is so profoundly lacking in Ansonia that I'm going to my own resources in the business world to bring jobs to this town, so that we can build a steady and open tax base so that we don't crush all of the homeowners all of a sudden. This tax increase, it was shot down overwhelmingly. That's why we're all here. But any of these tax increases that we go through, it's going to put pressure on these people. The working families, the small businesses, the retirees, we're all being asked to pay more while getting less. You all are the legislative body of the city. I'm asking you not to rubber stamp this administration's proposals. You're here to scrutinize them, challenge them, and fix them when necessary. This means asking yourself, where did the WPCA money go? Why aren't the audits complete? And what's the long-term planning to stabilize the city's finances without having to raise taxes every year? I'm not here to score political points. I'm here because the city needs grown-up budgeting, and right now, we're not seeing it. You have the power to demand better. You have the obligation to lead. And the people of Ansonia are watching to see what you do next. On any given day, I probably spend about a half hour, maybe more, maybe less, just reviewing the city budget, going over meeting minutes. I know some of you know that for certain. I've looked where the money's been going year after year after year. And I think it's time for the people to start to find out. My name is Thomas Egan. You can search for me on social media, Tom for Ansonia. But Ansonia needs to go forward, and we need to make our city profitable again, so that businesses can come here, so that we can have jobs, so that we're not getting killed on taxes. Thank you.
PTA later? Thank you. Next, I don't know if you guys are speaking together or separately, Chloe Gagan and Kelly Gagan.
Good evening, my name is Callie Gagan.
I'm Chloe Gagan, and we live on One Brookside Ave. I'm ranked 5th in the graduating class of 2025, and as someone who cares deeply about their education and their future, the school budget cut would be directly affecting the ability for students at Ansonia High School to have the opportunity to take AP and enrollment courses. Those courses are opportunities for us to challenge ourselves, to engage in the subjects we love, and to earn college credit while still in high school. They prepare us for the demands of higher education and help us build a foundation for our future careers. We must advocate for the resources that allow us to excel and prepare for our futures. We must remind our school board and our community how important these programs are to us. I've taken many dual enrollment and AP classes throughout my high school years, including AP Bio, HCC Accounting, CCP Foundations of Business, AP Comp and Rhetoric, and CCC Marketing, just to name a few. Due to these courses, I was able to stand out to colleges and receive scholarships from every college I applied to. I'm attending Coastal Carolina University in the fall and receiving a presidential scholarship to where I only have to pay $11,000 in tuition each year. When applying to colleges, it's a very competitive pool of students each year, and as the years go on, it only becomes more and more competitive. All the students after me deserve to be able to have the same experience and excel in their education as I did, which is why it's very important to advocate for the school and the futures of the students of Ansonia High School. Thank you.
Tyler Kennedy.
Good afternoon. My name is Tyler Kennedy, 27 Castle Lane. I just recently moved back to Ansonia, and I bought my house here. So I just want to start with I'm politically unaffiliated, so this has nothing to do with the left, rights, Republicans, or Democrats. To start with, I volunteered in this community for 10 years. I've been an AYF football coach as well as during Pop Warner. So I've raised both of my brothers through the Ansonia football program, 2nd through 8th grade. I've also done Toys for Tots and worked with the senior citizens while I was in this room. Recently, most of you may have known I posted on Facebook talking about the tax increases. To my surprise, many of the residents in this town also heard me. Some people that I have no political affiliation try to associate my grievances with a political party instead of acknowledging the problems here. These problems consist of or are not limited to lack of educational funding. One of the main things that the residents had an issue with the previous mayor was that the educational school systems weren't getting any better. To this day, we still have some of the lowest ratings in the state. As far as our businesses, where do we get our groceries from? Derby, Shelton, Seymour, Oxford, right? What about our lumber? Paint? Not in Ansonia. How about auto store? No, Derby has that as well. There are several other issues that need to be covered regarding the lack of service that the office is currently providing. I asked Mr. Cassetti, how many years is it going to take to recharge Ansonia? We did not have these issues with education in the previous mayor. How is it that 10 years ago we didn't have balloon classrooms, 15 years ago we didn't have balloon classrooms? You've expressed your support for current schools, yet the young people in the room don't understand that a decade ago we didn't have these issues. I spent time on the stage. I performed Mr. AHS. This stage has not changed one bit in 15 years. So you have to ask yourself, what are the people in front of you doing for you? Because everybody here in this room cares about you guys. A lot. However, the last 10 years, we haven't seen any changes. So we're here to fight for you guys. So please stop using our children as a shield for your education. Okay? Everyone in the town is completely behind the education of children. And it's completely wrong to rely on them to try to make an influence on decisions who work hard, people who work hard and can barely afford eggs. How does the mayor get a year-over-year tax increase, yet most of the people in this room will never see a pay raise. One of the students here spoke about the condition of the stage. And as I previously stated, this hasn't changed one bit. Yet we've been here proposing educational increases for over 10 years. So I asked the younger generation to consider what the current office hasn't done, not what they have done for you. We also spoke about mill rates. As Mr. Egan spoke to earlier, Shelton, Seymour, Milford, you guys have the audacity to put that up here? Their taxes are lower, yet they offer their citizens far more. Everybody ask yourself in a room here, if you move from out of state, would you want to come to Ansonia? Or would you want to go to Milford, Seymour, Shelton? I wonder why that is. The lack of businesses, the lack of change, the lack of the education. You talk about our education earlier. 24%, that's our mathematics literacy. 24% is our literacy in reading. 24% in this town. 12% of our students are literate in math. These are the stats that the people in front of you are giving you because they're filtering it through a shadow science over you guys. Again, I've been here for a long time. 15 years, I stood up here and made jokes about Mr. AHS. 10 years of community service I've spent. I just bought my house here. Speaking to the upgraded literacy and the mathematics, where's all this been all these years? According to the surveys online, we're still slacking. Speaking about anticipated vacancies, we must be talking about the already vacant Big Y Plaza, the Lost Bob's, the Lost Big Y. We're mostly speaking about the Sleepy's that's also leaving as well, right? Or referring to the Stop and Shop that is completely vacant. So truly, what they're doing is driving businesses out of Ansonia, bringing renters in who don't pay city taxes, and then dropping it on all these people who've been here for years. The failure the students are currently facing is not because of us. The failures that these current students are facing is not because of this educational proposal. It is because of the lack of service that this office, this administration has given them to be successful. Let me make this very clear. I graduated from this school. You can shake your head all you want, sir. I graduated from this school. I went to UConn, full scholarship with a bachelor's degree in psychology. I currently am a technical account manager for an AI company, and I came from this school. 10 years, 15 years, I've not seen one thing change. So it's kind of sad that you guys have the audacity to propose something like this, attack people online like most of you had, to associate a political agenda, which we're here for the town of Ansonia. Now I know you're going to jump on and say that I'm limited, which I'm not because I'm recording and I have a message and it'll go on. My last thing to you is,
You're way past 3 minutes.
no, that's good talking. I will let you guys know that recently I will apply for the Board of Aldermen. I will be running for my district. And hopefully I will have the opportunity to sit up on this cast and represent your children and fight for your rights and actually make a change for your children. Thank you.
Ashley Fan.
Okay, that's going to be very hard to follow. Thank you, I appreciate the challenge. Thank you for allowing me to speak at your city proposed budget meeting. My name is Ashley Fawn. I am the CEO of We Are One, which is a grassroots anti-human trafficking nonprofit organization. Ansonia holds a very special place in my heart. My daughter was born here. I lived on River Street. And I hid from my trafficking family in Ansonia. And I felt very protected by the Ansonia Police Department. And I think there's a really big topic that we are overlooking at this proposed budget meeting. It's my understanding that the Ansonia Police Department proposed about a $6.6 million budget for the next fiscal year, and it seems that only $5.8 was approved. As much as those are my favorite numbers, 5.8, I work with law enforcement all the time with my nonprofit. I collaborate, and there is no police department in this state that I would trust with my life more than the Ansonia Police Department. You go to other towns, other cities in the state of Connecticut, and I've never seen kids so connected with their law enforcement. And how many of you said you want to do criminal justice, and right? So it just blows my mind that a legal department is getting an astronomical amount of money when we could invest in law enforcement that does community outreach, student resource officers that are amazing, and a police department led by an amazing chief that always and they get results. Let's talk about Vanessa Morales. What happened last week? He got convicted. Show me another police department that can convict, collect evidence, and still bring awareness to a child that she's still missing. So I can only speak from my experience and from the community members that I've worked with. I serve this community. I was particularly drawn to it because the youth here is so connected with wanting to make the city better. And you can't do that with budget cuts in law enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ansonia. That is all the names on my list. Were there other people who came in late who wanted to speak? Please, we know who you are, but please sign the sheet. Here's a pen.
Thank you. Richard Bachero, 20 Sylvan Drive. Lived here 70 years. Worked for the city for 35 in the finance department. Current president of the Board of Education. I would present that I have lots of information about this entire process over the years. But first, if I may, I'd like to congratulate these students. You should be very proud of yourself. You have the city proud, you have the school proud. You are the future, and I applaud your efforts tonight. Okay, I don't really have anything scripted. I can't speak as well as these young adults or the doctor. But what I can say is, you guys are in a tough spot. You know, my byline here is, yeah, please raise my taxes, said no one ever. Really, no one is going to ever vote to have their taxes raised. I get it. I live here, my taxes go up, and I understand the process. But that being said, I ask and I urge this board to use their scalpel and be very gentle in what you decide to take off. Trust the process. This is a new process that we're utilizing. Allow the great people of this city to think about all the things that need to be done and do the right thing. Look, I get it. Board of Ed budget, I fought against it for, you can't even imagine the number of years. I was in the finance department. I've been both an acting comptroller for the Della Volpe administration. I've been an acting comptroller for the Cassetti administration. And I'm good at walking the fine line between the political version of everything that's out here tonight. And I work with both parties, both sides, and all the people. That's what's needed here. We need you to do the right thing. You're never going to please everybody. You're going to have people yelling and screaming about something. It's just the way the budgets go. I've been here, and we really haven't had a lot of it, but you need to do what's right. My opinion, we're underfunded on the city side. That should not be being cut. I know the numbers because I'm in the middle of the numbers. The Board of Ed, we started at close to $4 million. Special ed is killing us. I apologize, but we have no say. We're mandated by the state. We can't make the rules. We can't change, hey, somebody talked about buses. We have to have a seat for every student, whether they take the bus or they don't take the bus. There are just a lot of rules that we're mandated to do. Some are funded, some are unfunded, some are underfunded. This great city, working with Dr. Tabacco and the current administration, it's been different than in the past, and we've been able to accomplish what I consider a miracle in getting the school system operating the way it does. But I get it. Nobody wants to see their taxes go up. What I am is a numbers guy. Mr. Egan, you look at budgets, that's what I do. I look at other towns' budgets. I just compare. What I would ask everybody here, go online, City of Ansonia, Tax Department. You can look up taxes. Pick a random address, start looking. Look at the last 7 years of tax payments by an address. Do a lot of them. You're going to find that most people are up very little over a 7-year period, and many people are paying less now than they were 7 years ago. When you look at, hold that thought. When you look at the net taxes to be collected, which is the great thing that we're talking about here, 3 years ago, the net taxes to be collected in gross for the city is higher than it was 2 years ago, higher than it was 1 year ago, higher than it is currently. Yes, now we need to go up. Whether that's the right way to do it, the wrong way to do it, I can tell you that both parties have different ways of frying the egg. You can poach it, you can fry it, you can scramble it. The bottom line is, you gotta get to the end of the story. So, that's a discussion for another day. It's not really the politics I want to do. I urge this board to do the right thing. Present to the people what needs to be done and sell it. And if it takes 3 times, 4 times, you need to sell it. The Board of Ed budget, look, I've incorporated with Dr. Tabacco the city philosophy of trying to manage these expenses and do the best we can with them. He's been amazing at pressing the vendors to cut their prices, savings on the Xerox company, savings on the bus company. Transportation, that big number is because of the special ed transportation. I've already said some of these numbers in the last one. We've got some students costing us $250,000 to $300,000 based on what the requirements of the law state we have to do. We do what we need to do. We do it well. But the state, who was supposed to fund us for anything more than $90,000 for a child, doesn't fulfill their obligation in full. And that has left it on the backs of the city, and I am thankful for the administration and this board for supporting our Board of Education the way it has. I thank you all for anything about it. Please.
Thank you, Ray.
My name is Judy Burke. I live at 66 Jewett Street. I originally wasn't supposed to say anything, but I grew up in Hamden. And believe it or not, I went to a place where I'm sure you guys have heard of, Michael J. Whalen Junior High School. The disaster that is. This stage looks like what we had to deal with when I was in Hamden. It's utterly disgusting that stage has been like this for this long. Theater department helped me get through the military. I'm a veteran. I'm sorry, but yes, the school, we need to work with the school budget on getting it so it's reasonable. It has to. We need a forensic audit. I'm sorry, we need a forensic audit in this town, big time. So we can really find out what's been going on for the past 10 years so we can actually have a real budget. To really find out so we can make the proper changes where we need to without doing anything to the education. Learn from the town of Hamden. Look at town of Hamden because they messed up big time. I'm serious. Take a look at Hamden in the 80s and see what they did and learn from it. This town can learn from the other towns' mistakes. Big time.
Thank you.
Again, that's all the scheduled speakers I have. Is there anyone else that wants to speak tonight in the public session? Make yourself known. All right, so we'll close the public hearing, and we're going to immediately move into our special meeting. Actually, let's take a 5-minute break. 5 minutes, and then we'll start special board of